Team Diesel, let's talk Whoop day strain. All right, what is day strain? If you look at it, first off, if you're looking at your Whoop platform interface, if you slide to the right, the first thing you're going to see is a day strain. What that is, let's go through it. You're going to see a 0 to 21 scale. It's built off your cardiovascular load, all right, which is really calculated by utilizing your heart rate. So obviously, if you have higher heart rate elevation, you're going to have a higher daily day strain. All right. So if you have a lower daily strain, it usually probably means that you haven't elevated your heart rate. And we call it stimulus. So we want to do that throughout the day. We want to have elevations of your heart rate because that will really kind of stimulate the body, the blood flow, and it really kind of keeps the body kind of tuned up and going. Think of it as a machine. It's built off a 24-hour period, so it starts at midnight when you're sleeping. So that's why you'll wake up sometimes and you'll have a day strain. Maybe it's 3 to 5, but you'll have a little day strain when you start because your body is always kind of registering. It's always kind of reading, which is really cool because it's basically built off your own personal traits. So it's not like a step counter where you walk steps and that's what it counts and everyone kind of has the same metrics. It's like, no, this is off your own heart rate. Where you can't really get as specific. This is as specific as you can get. It's 24/7 readings. It's telling you day in and day out how your body's working. So sometimes if you have a lower recovery, you might see that it's harder to get your day strain up because your body's almost fatigued and fighting. And if you're pushing hard, and you're like, man, my strain's just not as hot today. It's like, well, if on the lower recovery side, maybe your body's trying to tell you not to push it as hard. But there's a lot of times when we also might see that our recovery is lower and just a little bit, maybe a lighter cardio load. Maybe if you're usually used to getting your heart rate up to 150 to 170, maybe you do like a 120 to 140 heart rate, 10, 20-minute walk or bike ride, and it really kind of stimulates some good blood flow. And then you'll see if you do well the next day, or the next day you usually wake up and you have a nice recovery from there, as long as you haven't, overate or drank or done something that might sabotage our sleep. But you can kind of see how we can play with that. So if we see people with lower recoveries, maybe we look at their internal stressors, their physical stressors, and things like that. So we also see like non-physical stress. So the cool thing is sometimes you'll see your day strains up high and you're like, man, I've just been at the office. I've just been, hanging out. I've just been at home. It's like, well, maybe, that's what's cool is that sometimes, and this is what I think overall poor stress or bad stress is all about that leads to diseases, immune system, breakdowns and things like that, is when you're basically elevating your heart rate, but you're not doing anything physically. So maybe that's when, maybe if we're driving and someone cuts us off, we get hot, you get mad. Maybe it's anxiety, thinking about the future. Maybe it's just sitting around, kind of building up all these things you got to do. And it's like, man, your heart rate's up, but it's like, you're not doing anything. So we got to release that stress. So it's also cool sometimes where we can see people like, hey, your work stress, you're getting high strains by doing little, you're just sitting at your desk. So that means if you get that stress, well, maybe we can work on mindfulness and meditation or controlling our emotions so things aren't triggering us. Or maybe we can add in some midday activity or, every 30 minutes, get up from your desk, go move around, release that stress off you. If not, it stays within you and it's no good. It's no good for our system. It eats us up and it makes us even weaker on the immune system side. So kind of our overall day strain, think of it, you have a day strain that you're going to see, and then you have an individual workout strain. All right, that's an individual bout. So if you go to Diesel and you work out for an hour, it's like this is what you're going to see as an individual workout strain. A lot of times if you press that strain activity, we can actually see it live, which is really cool. But if you're looking at what these matter, a lot of times you might sit between 10 and 14, and that's a lot of our program size. But then, basically, if you look at the big picture, 18 plus workout individual strain is an all-out activity, they believe. 14 to 18 individual workout strain is a strenuous activity. 10 to 14 is moderate, and then below 10 would be a light activity. So you can see how you can almost start to train more consistently because the body needs stimulation, but you can kind of play with your strains. So sometimes you'll see if you do a lot of weight training or just strength work, Diesel, you might be like, man, my strain only gets between 9 and 11. It's like, well, that's okay. It's a lighter strain on your cardiovascular system, but we know we're getting really good benefits from, moving, strength. Basically working strength activities put us maybe between 100 and 140. So you can see how you can kind of one day you can do maybe higher cardiovascular load, the other day you can do higher strength, and you can kind of teeter-totter back and forth, and it's a really good blend and a really good balance. But we found that's a really good way to keep people actively working almost daily, which is the body's best response to it. I think at the end of the day, if you're sleeping well, 7+ hours of sleep, if you're eating well, the biggest thing, we're going to talk nutrition later on, but you think nutrition is important, but we never want to sabotage our sleep. So you never want to, really, if we could go 90 minutes not eating before bed, that is great. You can still drink some water and things like that, but it's like when we put the food in the body late at night, it's just going to distract our body from the restorative sleep, the deep and REM, and it's going to take us into just digestion for that first couple hours a night, and that really will not derail us, but it does, long term. We want restorative sleep. So I think a lot of times I'm like, just don't sabotage your sleep, and you'll see that you'll recover better and you'll be able to get up and attack. So that's really cool when you think about individual workout strength. Then you got calories. Calories are burned off your basal metabolic rate, your age, your height, your weights, things like that. That basically your metrics that it's keeping track of, and then it's your heart rate. So if you have lower heart rates or throughout the day, you're not gonna have as much calories burned. So you can kind of see from there, it's like, oh, that's how you can kind of use this tool for more than just a COVID tracker or this and that. No, this is a huge performance tool. We've been using it for years with our professional athletes, but now it's like, hey, it's time to use it for everyone because it's that important, and it's that much of a great tool because it can literally, by looking at the metrics, we can tell you how to eat, we can tell you how to sleep, we can tell you how your stress is, we can tell you how to train, and then from there, we really see people's ability to create their own self plans, with our help and guidance and education, and you get long-term results and lifestyle changes. And really, it's like, man, everyone just, when they can really understand it as a tool, it's not something to get us or anything, it's something to help us. And then once we learn it, build a great plan. It becomes really successful across the board, not just with athletes, but with anyone who's trying to be healthy, if it's losing weight, if it's just feeling good, if it's stress management, if it's strength, if it's power, like that's what it's for. It's really cool. 3 ways to increase good strain. All right, what does that mean? Good strain is things like, again, like we talked about, we don't want strain when we're just not doing anything. We want to have good strain. That means we're planning it. So game plans daily, we talk about this a lot, but it's so important because when you have a game plan, you're not stressed out. You're like, oh, what should I do today? No, you know what you're going to do today. You get on the board and you wake up, you attack, you're hungry, and you can just put that hyper focus in. So one way we obviously do is create a game plan. Lifestyles, like we talked about a little bit, but we're going to talk a lot about lifestyle, is sleep, having pre-bedtime routines, making sure you're not eating too much, like you said. And then nutritionally, are we getting good food quality in? It's not always, we can talk about macros, we can talk about calories. There's a couple ways that we can kind of gauge. But at the end of the day, we look for very high quality food, and we look for a variety of things like, greens, veggies, simple meats, like simple carbs, like, think of like, all right, we're like, hey, what's in an apple? An apple, all right? So it's as simple as that when you think nutrition. It's like, we want simple ingredients. Look on the back of the food list, the ingredient list. If there's 30 things on there, you probably shouldn't eat it. But you stay around the perimeters of those grocery stores, you see how like the fresh produce, the meats, the perishables, the eggs, those are the stuff we want to put in the system, all right? So it's a good thing on that note. And then at the end of the day, when we do create these game plans, when we eat well, when we sleep well, we're creating a defense, immunity, a strength system in our whole body. It's amazing. Like if we want to defend and be healthy, especially in this time of the world where some things are going on, it's like, take care of yourself. All right, you're in control of your own body. You're in control of your mind. All right. So sometimes it's like, hey, get out there and go. Let's learn about the system. Let's learn about how our body's working. Our resting heart rate, our HRV, all these things like. And then once we learn about it, you realize like, hey, we're in more control of our health than we think. So let's take that control and let's build some great systems. And from out that, we're going to be stronger. We're going to be healthier. We're going to be better up top. We're going to be more confident. I think big picture, people are just happier. Overall, just some things that we've seen, just to throw some gold nuggets. It's like, we talked about if we have people that have lower recovery, it doesn't always mean do nothing. Sometimes it means do a little bit, all right? Do a little bit of cardiovascular. Maybe we do a little bit of strength because we know that is a lower heart rate threshold. It all depends on what we need. So if you're wearing this thing 24/7, we can always look back. It's like an insurance plan. Like, oh man, I don't feel good here. Oh man, I didn't lose the weight here, this or that, or my performance is down. Oh, let's check back. Let's check back at these matrix. Let's look at your sleep. Let's look at your strain. Let's look at all these different metrics, and then we're able to find and really educate on what we need to do. Long story short, we talked strain and stress. The last thing I'm going to say is, again, I've said it a couple times, like we want to have good strain. That means that we're in control. Like I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to go work out. It's not like, hey, I'm sitting at home and I'm not doing anything but thinking about everything. I got this mental chatter. It's like, hey, let's take control of that. All right. So at the end of the day, if you want to make sure that your strong immune system, everything's firing on demand, we'll create a little game plan, and if you need to, we can help you. We will help you because everyone's eventually going to create these game plans because they're so important to it. And then once you create it, your stress will go down internally, and you can just, when you do want to work or you want to do something physically, you can focus all in on it. And then when you're not doing it, you can chill out and kind of be in control. So that was our talk on strain. But this is just the first of many talks that we're going to have on kind of the metrics of the Whoop. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll talk again. See you.